Hi, how's it going? Well, I thought since I had the motor out, I would take it apart and have a look at the water pump. And haven't checked it, so it didn't look like it was pumping all that much water. So I'll have a quick look at it. So I took this cover off, and it looks like those bolts are not going to be that easy to get to. They're kind of below the housing here. Not sure why. So I guess what I might do is just loosen these bolts down here on each side and see if that might make a difference. Okay, so I got the bolt out for the shift linkage. I didn't bother showing it. It came out easy. Shift rod came out, no problem. 4 small bolts, 1 big bolt holding it in. Have a look up there. Okay, so I've got the bottom end on the vise here, so I'm going to take the pump off. That's a little discolored there. So, okay, I'm going to try and do this while I hold the camera, so bear with me.
Looks like there's 3 bolts holding us on. Okay, should come off.
Okay, so I took the O-ring off, and now we should be able to lift this right off. And there's the pump. There's the plate. Okay, there's a pin there. So there's a pin right here. Should just come out, but and the pump obviously rides on that pin, it drives the pump. So I'm going to clean this up and have a look at it. Alright, so I've taken it all apart and cleaned it up, and I think the propeller looks pretty good. I don't see any cracks or anything. So I'll just put that back in. And here's the other side of the housing. And here's the separator plate. So everything looks pretty good, so I'll just put it back together. Okay, so let's put this back together now. Put this plate on first. Okay. Now, there's a little pin that has to go in. Don't lose it. Okay, so a little pin's in. You can see it there. So now, put the pump on. Actually, I should have remembered which way it came off. I think it has to go this way. Because once you turn it with the housing, those fins will be the proper direction. Impeller in. It's pin is in there properly. Now I'm going to put the housing on. Now the way you get that impeller in there is to hold the housing and turn the shaft, and the impeller should turn in just like that. You turn it as you push down a little bit on the housing, and that bends those fins in the right direction. Now I'm going to put these 3 bolts in. Now I'm going to put these, tighten them down. I'm lined up. Just tighten them down. Just snug them up. Okay, now we put the O-ring at the top. I think that's all that important. I think that just keeps dirt out of the where it goes, the shaft goes into the crankshaft. Okay, so now I'm going to put the bottom end back in. This might be a bit tricky. I don't know if you can see in there. There's a tube where that water tube has to fit in. It's a rubber, looks like a rubber hose right next to the shift linkage. See the shift linkage there, and then to the left of it is that water tube. And then that brass looking deal there, that's where the crankshaft is. So I got to line up that water hose first and then put the shift linkage in. So I'll give that a try. All right, well, I got it all back together. Tell you, it wasn't that easy. By the time you line up the drive shaft or the shaft into the motor, then you have to line up the water tube. I don't know if you can see it there. It's the copper looking hose. See if I can zoom into it. And it has to go into that rubber tube. There you go. So it's in there. And I'll tell you, it's a real balancing act. It'd be good to have another set of hands to even hold the flashlight. And then to get the shift mechanism together was another hassle. So